Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Good morning, everybody. For those of you who joined me on that live yesterday, I'm glad you guys had a fabulous time. Wonderful. Again, a lot to cover. And let's just jump in with both feet and get there. Some of this is going to be trying to answer some questions that came to me last night as well, because some of them were really interesting. All right, here we go. Let's jump in. Let's get. All right, to start off with, Edward, the Earl of Wessex, was in Gwent meeting young people, first responders, and art volunteers from across the county, which I think is very nice. There was a challenge day, and he joined in a series of team building events as trustee of the award. Very nice. All right, moving on. I'd like to thank Trevor Colt for this photo. This is, according to the picture, it was exactly 102 years since the unveiling of the cenotaph, which took place in 1920. Now that's a cool photo. Now, in keeping with this, this is a picture from the Royal Collection Trust of King George V laying a wreath at the foot of the cenotaph on Armistice Day in 1924. Apparently, Queen Mary mounted these pictures and other pictures and albums, private events, public events for her family. Very nice. Thank you to Sarah's Secret for these photos. So here is King George V. Then you have Edward VIII. Then you have George VI. And finally, you have Queen Elizabeth II, all laying their wreaths. Very nice. Next up, I saw this picture on Twitter from Countess Commonwealth. She apparently went to the field of remembrance to reflect on the sacrifice of those who gave so much. And she took this picture, which I just found amazing. Love it. Moving on, I showed you this photo yesterday. This is the list of everybody who's doing everything on what day. And today, Friday, the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester attended the National Memorial Arboretum Armistice Day service in Stratfordshire, I believe is how you pronounce it. And here's a little snippet for you. Watch this. Well done, honestly, and look at their ages, and they're still going. But they were not done yet, because after this, they went to plant a tree as part of the Queen's Green Canopy. It's being reported that there are 26 new elm, oak, and lime trees leading to the I hope I can say this right, the Arboretum's entrance to commemorate the Queen. Just as an FYI, the project was made possible by the donation of 7.5 acres by a family that supports this. I love that. All right, moving on. All right, next up, Prince William. He was in a very nice blue suit, and he went to a charity event alongside Princess Margaret's son, David Lindley, at a private members club in Mayfair. The charity event was in honor of bereaved children, and the club is in Oswald in central London. Apparently, this is one of the most exclusive private clubs there. Queen Consort and Boris Johnson and his wife are those who apparently go to the venue on a regular basis. Others, again, included the Queen's nephew, David Lindley, and Lady Maria Balfour. Along also was model Jackie St. Clair. Apparently this was a really big deal. And Catherine stayed home with the kids. All right, moving on. Speaking of Catherine, an announcement was put out that the palace staff will no longer announce the details on Kate's outfits. Now, you can still find her stuff. I'm sure it'll still be on Kate's closet. But like this article you're looking at above from her visit the other day, where it said where the coat came from, where the dress came from, how much they cost. They won't be releasing that information anymore. I'm not sure why that is. I think it puts her in a good light, but okay, that's their choice. You still go to Kate's closet. I'll say it again. All right, moving on. Boston is getting ready to bring the Prince and Princess of Wales. It's really starting to irritate me that they just call her Kate Middleton. She's the Princess of Wales. Anyway, they're getting ready to welcome them for the Earthshot Prize Awards. Apparently, the area all around where they're going to be has been spiffed up and painted and made to look nice. Love it. All right, moving on. Back to the egg thrower. Here we go. He launched I don't know if it was a GoFundMe, but he launched something trying to get people to help him pay the legal bills, which are now going to be coming in because he's going to try to, fight the fact that he threw eggs at Prince Charles. Here's what his article said. Written like a true idiot. I act in solidarity with the worldwide people sick of living in a society that punishes the weak and the poor and rewards the wealthy and the cruel. We can change the system and create a new world based on the values of solidarity, peace, justice, and love. Yeah, I'm sure we all felt the justice and the love as you were lobbing eggs. If we would like to contribute towards my legal costs, there was a link. Any support is hugely appreciated, I bet. He's looking at a £5,000 fine, legal costs, and up to 6 months in prison. Very interesting. So of course, as soon as whatever company it was realized what he was fundraising for, they shut that puppy down fast. And from what I understand, he only had 18 people that gave any money, and it totaled almost nothing. So yeah, you're in trouble, dude. Next time, think a little smarter before you do stuff. All right, moving on. Here we go. They released The Crown, and it was only watched by 1.1 million viewers in the UK, according to the official ratings, which means that that's a seventh of the figure that watched I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here on ITV for the same day. And that is a long way from the 4.52 million that turned into the 6:30 news on BBC, or the 4.47 million that watched the news at 6 on the same channel. There you go. People are not watching. I don't think, I got to be honest, I think their stock, which has been plummeting and they're circling the toilet, I think the stock might go up a smidge, but then I think it's just going to drop back again. Personal opinion. All right, moving on. All right, you guys, here we go. It looks like Harry and Meghan have again bought nominations to win an award. And let me tell you why I'm going to say they're purchased, okay? We're going to start with all of them exactly the way they're listed. You guys just will not believe this. Here we go. So they're starting off with the Trailblazer category. And of course, the Duchess of Sussex is the first person listed. Somebody please explain to me what she's done other than the Zoom calls and crying victim and calling racism, plagiarizing and pointing a finger at anybody who doesn't like her. Please tell me what's trailblazing. Kindness Day on Sunday, November 13th. Okay, so here we go. For Meghan, they're saying that she's trailblazing in female empowerment. I haven't figured that part out yet because all she's done is some speeches and some Zoom calls where mostly she talks about herself. And just not, I don't, that's why I'm thinking that she bought it. Not to mention, she's a bully. That's been proven in Tom Bower's book and Valentine Lowe's book. And the fact that she has not sued tells you all you need to know there. Now, as part of a new thing the magazine is doing, you're allowed to nominate people. So who does Meghan nominate? The CEO of SmartWorks, which is the charity she held when she was a working royal. That's who she's decided to nominate. All right, moving on. Then you had the royal category. Now notice, Meghan wasn't under the royal category. She was under the trailblazing category. But look who's listed number 1 under the royal category. Oh, it's Harry, who's been nominated because he's, quote, following in his late mum's, Princess Diana's kind footsteps with his charitable work. What charitable work? He's given Zoom calls. He's been made the chimpo of a company. He's trying to get money. Okay. I'm not going to go back through all that. Okay, so he has nominated Baroness Keben Kidron, which is a British filmmaker and founder of the Five Rights Foundation, a charity which advocates children's rights in the digital world. So I'm sure none of you will be surprised that this is somebody who partnered up with the Archewell Foundation. No wonder she got a nomination. Moving on. So now you have the Hollywood category, and this one is not so bad, I think. Bindi Irwin. Remember her? This is a real nominee who's always nice, always kind, leading the way in conservation at the Australian Zoo with her global charity, Wildlife Warriors. And the kind list, she says, is opening letters, kindness to the planet, to wildlife and each other. And her special person that she's recognizing is the head veterinarian and manager of the Australian Zoo Wildlife Hospital, Dr. Valenza, for the inspirational kindness that she shows on a daily basis. Those are 2 real nominees, and so is the next person. Once you get past the environmentalist category and the Ukraine campaign category, which is 3 pages long, we're going to circle back around to the Trailblazers category, of which Meghan topped the list. And we're going to look at the person I think should have topped the list, Malala. We all know her. She's the young lady that was shot in the head at close range. And she's been fighting for girls' education everywhere, empowering thousands of disadvantaged students. So Malala is nominating her close friend, V. Kativhu. I hope I'm saying that right. Her friend, when she got to the UK from Zimbabwe, didn't speak English and struggled in school. She worked part-time jobs after classes to help support her family. And yet she got an undergraduate degree from Oxford, a master's from Harvard, recently accepted into a PhD program, and takes hundreds of thousands of young people on this journey with her YouTube channel. She's helping disadvantaged students prepare for their exams and apply to college and doing well. And she just published a book to empower students. Yep, another real nominee. All right, moving on. So I'm sure you guys realize they put Harry and Meghan in the same category with Malala, who was shot in the head trying to fight for women's rights, and Bindi Irwin, whose father was killed when she was a little girl and yet did not grow up to be a whiny you-know-what. Instead, she's leading the way in conservation and not flying all around the world on private jets. That's what tells me that Harry and Meghan bought their way onto that list. Woo! Moving on. All right, I have to bring this up. This is from 2021, but it was just so funny when I read it. Apparently what they did was they either took some lookalikes or they took some mannequins and of Harry and Meghan, and they threw them over the ship rail into Boston Harbor, calling it the Boston Tea Party 2 Rebel Even Harder. They said, from time to time, the Tree of Liberty must be refreshed with the cries of British royalty as we dunk them in the harbor. It says, and I'm quoting, "Help, I'm a brave woman of color and I'm being oppressed," Markle cried as she was thrown into the water. And the rowdy colonists cheered as they went under, proud of themselves for once again demonstrating America is the best country in the world. Prince Harry was asked for a comment, it says, but he said he had to check with Markle first before he was allowed to respond. All right, lastly, I'm just going to touch on this lawsuit that Nate filed against Mr. Boozy, from Bot Sentinel. Well, Bot Sentinel's attorney responded, And I just found the response interesting because basically what he's saying is that Mr. Boozy's comments were covered under the First Amendment, which is freedom of speech. But there's a problem with that. I'm sure his attorney knows there's a problem with that. I don't know how he thinks he's going to get by with that. Let me explain. The First Amendment, one of the things it gives you is freedom of speech. But knowing that there's things you cannot do, and I'm just going to give you an example, which is a well-known example. You can't go into a building and scream fire if there's no fire and cause a panic where people could be hurt. You know what I'm saying? There is a limit to your freedom of speech and what you're allowed to say. So what's going to happen is they're going to get into court and his attorney is going to say it's freedom of speech. He was giving his opinion. But here's the rub. Nate is suing for defamation. Now, if you go into court and he can prove the statement was true, that's the end of the case because you can't be punished for speaking the truth, no matter how ugly or embarrassing. However, first Mr. Boozy said that he was not an attorney, which he was. But then he said that Nate, when he was a police officer, planted evidence on people and that there were innocent people in jail. You can give an opinion on something only if, number one, it's a matter of public concern. Number two, it's expressed in a way that makes it hard to prove whether it's true or not. And number three, it cannot be interpreted to be a factual statement. Just based on that, from the tweets that I saw, Mr. Boozy's in serious trouble because even when he was told to stop and even when he got a cease and desist, he continued to say online that Nate had planted evidence, that there were innocent people in jail. He could say that, it's covered under the First Amendment, but it's not. And that's defamation. I think he's in deeper than he thinks. Again, you guys, this is way above my pay grade. I'm not an attorney, but yes, I'm keeping an eye on this. All right, you guys, you know what I want. I want your comments. Now, make them good. I'm reading them. Number one. Number two, double check the subscribe button. Go ahead and hit that button and subscribe. And if you haven't hit the button, do it. And if you have, double check to make sure you're still subscribed. I was actually really surprised at how many people said that they were not notified about the live and they missed it because they didn't get notification. But it could be that you didn't hit the button for all notifications. So just double check yourself, okay? Up in the description box is where you'll find the link for Twitter, Getter, Rumble, my email. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund and through my thanks button, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.